All right, chapter 16. Can you believe it? We're getting through this book. I think this is one of my favorite chapters, chapter 16. I have listened to it 3 times this week, partially to prepare for this, but also just the richness, the gold, the amazing wealth of information and knowledge in this chapter. So for me, it is probably great timing. I really love this chapter. So let's dive in. So chapter 16, the more you rescue, the more they sink is the title of this chapter. Great title. I think it's very jarring. Also very relevant. So yes, I would 100% agree on this title and think it fits quite well. All right, so I think we all know someone, and Mel even says this too, I think we all know someone that's struggling, right? We all know someone that we deeply care and love and cherish that's struggling in their life, and it is really hard to witness that. And it's so, what I envision is throwing out a life ring. I think that's what they call it, right? The life preserver, the round. It's so easy to want to throw that out and save them, and rather than witness them out there paddling and struggling in the water, right? And I think that we lovingly, caringly, from a good place, want to sincerely help them, love them, save them, rescue them. And also, I think that it oftentimes is for our own benefit, right? We don't want to see them struggle because it means something about us. And that might not be really clear or obvious, but I guess it depends on who that individual is and how they're related to you and how you're connected and what it means. And I know that when I state that in a coaching session, I obviously am not going to state that without a lot of information, a lot of data, a lot of conversation around it. But I have seen that in clients that coming from a good place and want the best for someone they care about, that there is some sort of thread there that it means something about them. So yeah, and again, this chapter was probably very profound for me today. I had a conversation with my oldest daughter just an hour ago, and she's struggling. She really is. And I held space for her and believe that when I walk away from any call, whether that be with a client or family member or loved one or my spouse, I like to reflect on what went well. What went well in that conversation? And what did I learn? Right. I think that when we have a conversation with someone that we deeply care about and love, when we come from that after having a dialogue or a conversation or a call or anything, or witnessing them and their struggle, I think that those couple of questions can really help us, one, listen really deeply. There's something here that there's something to learn from this person. So I think that we listen really deeply. We listen with depth. We listen with curiousness, right? The curiousness of a child. So yeah, when we're looking to learn something, we're looking for something to gain, and not in a gain way, not like we're wanting to take something from them, but listening to learn. What is there to learn here? And listening for something new. I find that really helps me listen deeply, and then reflecting afterwards what went well in that conversation and what could I do better or improve on. I think that's enables me to continue to grow and evolve and have deeper, better connections with those that I talk to, whether that be clients or family or friends. So anyways, take that, kind of digress there from the book, but I do also believe that life is a contact sport. It's a continual contact sport. And we're all dealt a deck of cards that varies. Everybody is different, everybody's complex. We all have different thoughts, beliefs, stories, experiences. I mean, it's just so many layers, right? So no one escapes the contact sport we call life. No one gets out free from struggle. I do also believe that when we take on other people's struggles, the weight of it can feel heavy. Even when in a conversation like I was in an hour ago with my daughter, I felt the tug of wanting to save her, protect her. I felt that coming and going in and out of the conversation. And I stayed in my own lane and really just deeply listened. Again, listen to see what I can learn. What can I hear different that I haven't heard from other conversations? Because the conversation that she had with me was very familiar. It's not a new conversation. It's the same conversation, and there was something for me to hear differently, and hold space for her. So I know if I start to feel heavy or weighed down or frustrated, or that this is difficult, or I'm feeling like it's pulling me down, that I'm not coming from love, that I'm coming from wanting to save her, to protect her. And I know that that's not why she answered the call, because I called her. I also wonder, I wrote down these two questions that I'd love to hear your comments, your feedback, what your thoughts are, and see, are you able to identify what is in your lane and what is not in your lane? Right? So are you able in your relationships, or the one that you can think of that that somebody's struggling, that you care for and love and admire and appreciate, can you identify what's in your lane and what's in their lane? Right? What is your journey and what is their journey? Are you able to have a conversation with them that if they're wanting to vent and they're wanting to share with you what their reality is and what they're experiencing, are you able to listen, to learn something, listen to hear something new? Are you able to hold space for them without injecting your stories, without telling them what you would do, how they should act, respond, etc.? So I'd be curious if you can write in the comments, if you're able to identify clearly in a conversation, in a dialogue, what is and is not in your lane, and maybe describe it to your best ability in just a sentence or two. Just curious. The second question is, are you able to identify what is and isn't in your control? Kind of the same thing, right? What's in your lane, what's in your control, those are really kind of one of the same, but worded differently, right? So are you, and maybe you have a different perception on those two, and that's great. I'd love to hear your thoughts or comments. So what is in your control is really just and you can't control what you're thinking, although I'm going to say control your thinking. But what it is, when I think of what's in my control, is what I'm thinking, what I think, what I believe, and what I do, right? Can't control our thinking. However, we can learn to command our thoughts to be of a certain flavor, right? So we're going to have thoughts, unintentional thoughts that are going to bubble up, that are there to serve us, to protect us, to guard us, whatever. And I invite them to come along for the ride. But I'm going to choose which direction I go. I'm going to choose which thoughts to fuel. I'm going to choose which thoughts enable me to have the life that I love and appreciate and really enjoy. Really. So again, what is it that you can't control somebody else? You can't control their decisions. You can't control their actions. You can't control their feelings. You can't control what they're thinking. So when you get really clear on what's in your control and what's in your lane, I find it very relieving. I find it very much of a deep breath. This is in my lane, or this is not in my lane. So when it's not in my lane, I'm just here to be a witness. I'm just here to hold space for you. I'm just here to listen and ask, would you like my advice? Would you like my opinion? Would you like to hear what I think? Would you like to hear a story that comes up for me? Would you like to hear what occurs to me as you share with me your struggles? My daughters love it, love them both. They both will say, no, mom, I got this. No, mom, don't want your advice. I don't want your opinion. I just want to vent. Awesome. I have nothing to do here other than learn myself, grow myself, and really learn how to hold space better next time, right? Just keep improving myself. That's it. It just takes so much weight off of my shoulders. So in no way am I condoning someone else doing something harmful to themselves or others. I think Mel words that pretty elaborately and does a really good job of that. And again, her or I or nobody really wants to see someone out there drinking and driving and risking other people's lives. That's not at all what we speak of. And I like to put a disclaimer. I do this in a lot of the forums I'm in or groups. It's like, in no way am I talking about major things. I'm not talking about physical abuse. I'm not talking about drinking and driving. I'm not talking about dangerous things at all. I'm talking about really standard daily normal life stuff, right? The normal, I don't want to say that that's normal, but kind of the general sense of challenges and barriers and struggles that we have with normal life, right? Be it relationships or jobs or just the life stuff. I want to go in depth with the difference between supporting someone and enabling someone. I feel like that's something that Mel did pretty good in this chapter and throughout the whole book, really. I just feel like I want to give some examples and kind of stay here for a minute. So hang in there with me, because I think that they kind of overlap and it can be a little bit gray and it can be a little bit confusing. Like, am I enabling or am I supporting? And what is the difference? So on a high level, just kind of an overarching umbrella level, supporting is when you're helping someone grow. Supporting is highlighting someone's strengths and reinforcing they're capable. That's supportive. That's what coaching does, right? Whenever someone says, hey, I want coaching, what is coaching exactly? I'm like, I have to ethically give you a quick disclaimer, and it is in my agreement that coaching is very much forward focus. I find your strengths, your talents, your skills, and enable you to move forward powerfully. Light your heart on fire and create a life that you dream of, that you see, that you are excited to live. It's very forward focused. Where counseling and therapy is very backwards focused, and not always, like they kind of overlap, but in a general sense, therapy counseling is going to look in the past, unpack old wounds and heal traumas and events and all these other things and spend time focusing on that, where coaching does not. Very forward focused, very much supporting, highlighting your strengths, enabling those, and really turning on worthiness, enoughness, values, principles, morals, and helps you get really clear on who you are, your identity. So that's supportive. Okay. Enabling is not either counseling, therapy, or coaching. Enabling is really keeping people stuck. It's a codependency. It's coming in and saving the day. It's doing things. It's like, I like to say it in a metaphor, is you're doing their homework. Right? So I know I grew up around kids that their parents did their homework for them. They did their science project for them. And did their daughter or son learn? Probably not. So that to me is enabling. That's the metaphor that I would use. So supporting encourages them to be accountable to themselves. That's what coaching does. Like I'll have clients come to me, brand new clients, like, I want coaching. I want you to hold me accountable. I'm like, I love to do that. I will show you how to hold yourself accountable. Right? There are means and there are ways that I can support you and hold you accountable. But ultimately, I don't want you to depend on me for the rest of your life. I want to teach you how to fish. I'm not going to give you a fish. I'm not going to do your homework for you. So if you're dependent on me, what if I die? What if I get sick? What if I forget to hold you accountable one day? Right? That's a lot of weight on my shoulders when that's not in my lane. You pay me enough, I probably would. But what I will do is I'll teach you how to be accountable to yourself and what that means and what that looks like, what it feels like, what enables, what is stopping you, what are the barriers, what are the challenges, why is it that you believe you can't hold yourself accountable? Right? We get to the root of that. So enabling shields you from consequences. Right? It's like, I think Mel has some great examples in this book of, paying off maybe bailing you out of jail, right? That might be one of them. I'm watching Suits on Netflix, so it's kind of funny. My husband and I are watching an episode every night. We just started that show, so let me know if you like that show in the comments. So I've listened to a few episodes, I don't know, a year or so ago, and I was like, yeah, this is something I would enjoy watching with my husband, so I waited. But shielding someone from their consequences is doing their homework for them. It's bailing them out of jail. It's paying off their debt. It's, if somebody gambles away their money and you just keep giving them money, because they say, oh, I need money for food. I need money for rent. And you keep giving them money. They're not learning. You're shielding them. You're bubble wrapping them from their consequences. People have got to learn from pain. People learn via pain. Anybody that's in martial arts or boxing or MMA or any of that stuff would know what that means. You learn from pain. Supporting, again, coaching. I like to think of coaching as very supportive. It is. I've never been a fan of the word coach or coaching because I feel like there's so many definitions of a coach, like the middle school dodgeball coach teacher, like I could just smell that red ball, a dodgeball. So I wish there was a different name for coaching, and maybe one day they will come up with something different. Probably not, but one could wish. But being supportive, what coaching does, or even something that you may do with the person that you're thinking of that's struggling right now in their life, mentally, emotionally, or physically. Supporting is building resilience, helping build resilience. And how we help someone build resilience is pointing to examples that they've been resilient in their life. Pointing to it could mean helping them see it and describe it by asking questions. Where in your life have you overcome challenges? Or maybe if you know them well enough and go, you know what, I know you've been through hard things and I know that you survived and I know you bounced back because of this example. You've gotten divorced, you've been fired, or you've broke a leg and you navigated that year of recovery in such an amazing way. Like I'm inspired by your resiliency. Like it's really, a lot of people don't see their strengths in themselves. It shocks me when I have conversations with people that are interested in coaching or even become a client. It's amazing that most people don't know what their strengths are. And without asking them questions and really mining for it, looking for it, and knowing how to ask and find it and put a finger on it, a lot of people don't even know. So I love doing that. Again, being kind of like a child with childlike curiosity. Where in your life have you been resilient? Where in your life have you overcome? Everybody has. Enabling breeds dependency. Enabling is really facilitating self-destruction, right? Mel talks about a lot of examples. She talks about dealing with food disorders and addiction disorders. So enabling breeds dependency, enabling really turns off the ability to process and make decisions that really facilitate a life now that feels good and at the end of their life, right? One of the questions I always ask my clients in session 2 is, when you're 80 years old, what's going to matter most? If you're healthy of body, healthy of mind, healthy of spirit, you're able to move around and you're able to function and you're able to think, what is going to matter most at the end of your life? Reflecting back, like fast forward to 80 years old and look back on your life, what is most important? Always people say something to do with connection. They always say something to do with memories and experiences. I love that question because it's very insightful in what really ultimately matters most. And if we know today what's going to matter most at the end of our life, we can actually really make choices and decisions moment to moment, like every moment of our day and every moment of our life, that leads to that goal of 80 years old, right? Facilitating amazing connections with family, friends, whatever, creating memories and experiences today, tomorrow, the next week, next month, whatever, blocking out time to really enjoy this thing that we call life. It really is a great question. When somebody gets in the way, though, and tries to save us, stop us, and save us from feeling things and growing and evolving, it stunts our growth. It creates destructive patterns and behaviors. It creates a need for someone to come in and save the day. All right, so supportive, again, builds strengths in people. Supporting builds skills, talents, and enables them to see in themselves what they're really good at. It facilitates time and space to be able to learn how to cope and navigate life's challenges, to move through life's challenges versus avoid them, run from them, hide, isolate, ghost people. Okay. When we're enabling people, we wing them. Winging them as we cut their wings. We prevent them from flying. We prevent them from experiencing life. We prevent them from growing through the pain. In fact, I almost think it prolongs the pain. It makes the pain last months, years, decades. Where if we allow them to move through it, sure, it might be a rough week or month, but they're going to learn and grow quicker, faster, and pop back up. Right? They're going to see that they went through the hard thing and they bounced right back up. They have a bounce back factor. When we are supporting or supportive of people, what we're doing is we're asking them, how can I help you help yourself? Right? What can I do to be supportive to you? What would it look like for me to support you? Something like that. I want to be supportive. I want to be your biggest cheerleader. I know you can do this. I know you can move through this. I know that this is going to be hard, and I know that you're capable, you're strong, and you're resilient, and you will bounce back. Where enabling says, let me fix this for you. Let me take this from you and let me do your homework for you. Let me do your science project for you because I got you. I'll get you an A because you're not able to. I know you're going to make a hot mess out of this. So when we are supportive, We are empowering them. And it feels really good, right? We're cheerleading them. I know you can do this. You're capable, you're strong, you're brilliant, you're brave. I've seen you go through harder things. Sure, it might feel difficult, but I'm here. Call me, text me. I'm here for you. Where when we're enabling someone, it's exhausting. We stay up late. We don't get sleep because we're worrying, we're stressing out, we're running through all kinds of scenarios. What's going to happen next? What is the impact on them, the people around them, on me? It's exhausting. When we're supportive, we are, again, pointing out their strengths and encouraging them to see where they are confident, right? It's amazing to me how many new clients that I work with that are like, Katherine, help me be more confident. I'm like, do you know where confidence comes from? It's actually self-confidence. It's actually a hyphenated word. Do you know where self-confidence comes from? No, give me a pill, give me a potion, give me a lotion. Help me be more confident. They think it comes from outside of them because someone has been enabling them. Someone has been telling them to be more confident. Well, where does confidence come from? They don't know where it comes from. Self-confidence, self-esteem. There's a reason why it says self in front of it. Because it comes from inside. Self-motivated, self-determined. All of these come from the inside out. They don't come from outside in. If I had a pill, a potion, a lotion, a supplement, I'd sell it to you. It's amazing how many people think that I'm going to enable them, do it for them. I'm not going to write the book for you. I'm not going to do the exercises for you. I'm not going to eat for you. I'm not going to talk to your spouse for you. When we come from an enabling, we create a habit of avoidance. We create a way of paralysis. Again, we wing them, we disable them. When we come from support, we know that they can face the consequences. We support them in facing their consequences. We encourage them to rip the Band-Aid off and face the consequences. Pay the piper, fall on your sword. Say the apology, pay the fee, pay the fine, find a way, community service, whatever it is, move through it, get over it, make peace with it, have acceptance, and go through it. When we enable people, we shelter them from the consequences. We bubble wrap them. We hide them from the consequences. When we're supportive, the energy that we come from is love, understanding, compassion, empathy. It feels really good, right? And when we come from this good feeling, this energy, they're going to share more with us because they feel safe to share it with us. And we have this strong energy of love and understanding and compassion. They're going to take a little bit of that with them, right? It does nothing to me if I'm the one that's giving them this, being the supportive strength that they're coming to. They're going to see me as a leader. They're going to see me as an example. They're going to see me modeling strength, bravery, courage, whatever the words are for them. And they're going to take that. They're going to learn from that. Again, if they come from the way that I come from every conversation, what can I learn from this person? Deeply listening. If they're going to, in a coaching session, I highly encourage all my clients, look for the gold nugget, look for something to learn, just one major takeaway and take action on it. That's really what coaching is in a nutshell. But when we come from enabling energy, it's judgment. It's, you should listen to me. It comes from shame. It comes from, I knew you couldn't do this. I knew you aren't capable. It comes from looking at them as less than, not good enough, and weak. And what ends up happening is they end up usually calling you less, feeling shameful, like they only really come to you when things are real bad. When we come from a supportive energy, when we come from the supportive side, we teach them, or we show them, or we point to the other side of hard is a lesson. On the other side of the difficult is a lot of growth. There's resiliency there. There's strength there. There's, sure, there might be scars. There might be, a scar on your hand or your arm, metaphorically, but that's a battle wound. There's much gold on the other side. Sure, you might have failed, but I love failing. Failing has so many lessons to it. Well, I won't do that again. And it's memorable, right? Creating memories. But when you model that on the other side of hard, there's gold, there's the rainbow, there's a lot of lessons, there's a lot of strength and a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge on the other side. So when we move through it, there's greatness, there's a pot of gold. When we enable someone, we're rescuing them. We actually set them backwards. And it also teaches them to avoid the hard things. When we come from a supportive mind, when we come from a supportive place, again, we will highlight and reinforce and validate their strengths, their skills, their talents, their qualities, their attributes that you admire and you appreciate. You will acknowledge and reinforce what you admire in them, that they might not see, that they might be so consumed with sadness and grief and frustration and fear and worry that they forgot their strengths. When you come from enabling them, you're going to validate their excuses. You're going to give them more excuses. You're going to justify their reasoning. You're going to get swept into the vortex and really make them see how not good enough, how weak they are, how incapable they are. You're going to get pulled into reinforcing what's not good, right? You're reinforcing what they're lacking. When you come from a supportive side, they are going to learn that the hard way is where we heal, where we grow, where we evolve, where we get resilient, where we get stronger, where we get more agile, where we are able to cope and navigate and bounce back really quick. When we enable people, we're enabling them to skate through life. Again, somebody doing their homework. And it puts off their healing, and maybe they never heal because they go from one person to one person to the next person to the next person and burning bridges as they go. They keep burning down bridges, right? They go to the next person that will save them. They keep looking for people to save them, and until they manipulate everyone and that they know, that they come in contact with, until they hit the bottom. When we come from support, life feels that relationship feels lighter. freer, it flows. When we come from enabling, it feels heavy, and it feels scary, and it feels hard. It feels like, oh, I have to overperform. I have to do this, and no one else is going to do it. I have to come in. I have to save them. And when we overperform in a relationship, naturally the other person underperforms. Every single relationship. And I know when I say that, you're thinking of two people. It might be you, it might not be, it might be two other people. But when I say that, your light bulb goes on. When you overperform, naturally the other person underperforms. It's the way it works. And what ends up happening, the person that's overperforming, it's not sustainable. I worked with a lot of clients that have done that for 20, 30 years, and they are resentful, mean, bitter people because they're sacrificing their own mental, emotional, and physical health because they're overperforming for more than one person in their life. I usually see this in nurses and first responders and people that have jobs and careers that beats in their head to serve and provide and put everyone first. Put everyone's oxygen mask on first and then yours last, if there even is one left for you. When we come from a supportive, loving, compassionate, empathetic place, it gives space to be supportive, to offer tools, or help them find their own tools, their own path, their own way, to where they build their own self-trust, when they build their own self-compassion, when they build their own proudness, right? When people are dependent on someone else being proud of them or someone else being, I guess that's probably the best one, being proud of them, something external, they don't know that they can be proud of themselves. They depend on something external that's not sustainable, that's not lasting. And that creates someone that's chasing a rainbow that they can never find the end to, never finding the pot of gold. When we enable someone, what ends up happening is we are in a way smothering them and controlling them, especially when we're overperforming. When we're overperforming in a relationship, we then create expectations that they start performing at some point. They start doing, they start being. And resentment builds because they're not going to. You've been doing their homework for them for too many years. You've been doing their laundry. You've been ironing their underwear, whatever it is. And what ends up happening is you end up going, one day they'll do this on their own. Well, they're not going to because you've been doing it for all these years. One last one. When we come from supportive, when we support people, it really lights up self-belief in them because you are coming from a place of knowing and believing that they are capable, that they are strong, that they have the ability. Sure, it's going to be hard, but I'm here for you. Call me, text me anytime. It installs self-belief. In coaching, the reason why I think coaching is so valuable is it comes from an encouragement to start keeping score of the wins. What are you doing well? What are you winning at? What can we celebrate? What's going awesome in your life? What's amazing? Versus wallowing in what's not going well and what's terrible and what's awful and how life is happening to you. It's you becoming an expert at problems, which sends our brain into survival mode and fear. Okay, that's not what coaching is. Coaching, at least in my practice, we focus on what your skills, your talents, your values, what's important to you, what you love, what you enjoy, what fulfills you, what gives you meaning, what gives you purpose. It's very intrinsic. But when we enable people, it installs self-doubt. It installs self-doubt in them. and it impacts every area of their life. It overflows everywhere. I did create a metaphor. I love metaphors. If you're not in my Lead with Love Facebook group, please look for it. Lead with Love Facebook group, or find me on Facebook and ask me about it. It's a great group. I just started it not too long ago. I think there's 150 people and there's not a lot, but every day there's a new topic every day. It's really geared towards married couples or people that are in a committed relationship. That's what it's really geared towards, but it's every day. I have 31 different topics, and every day there's a topic, and I usually give one question at least, maybe two, a metaphor or story, and then, you know, something else, just sporadic, whatever it is on the topic, whatever feels good to post that day for me. Like, I feel like excited to share. But anyways, I love metaphors. I love stories. I think that it really adds some clarity and creates an image, and sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. None of this may land for you, and that's okay too. You might not be ready to hear it, and that's great. You know, more power to you. So the garden is the name of this metaphor. So imagine in a garden, and imagine someone, maybe that person that you're thinking of that's struggling in their life. Imagine that they have a garden, and imagine that it's only got one plant in this garden, and they're struggling to grow this plant. So what would be supportive is handing them the water can. Maybe they haven't been watering it super well. Maybe they're depending on the rain to water their one plant garden. You're going to hand them the water can. You're going to hand it to them, and you're going to teach them how to use it, how much water to put on the plant, how much is too much and how much is too little, and how frequent to do it, once, twice a day. Maybe you will teach them that on days that it's 80, 90, 100 degrees, that you'll need to do it 3 times a day, or maybe days that it is more damp or humid, that maybe you only need it once or not at all. You're going to teach them. You're going to show them. Like when I had an insurance agency, what I would do is tell, show, and do, right? So I would tell them what I'm about to do. Okay, I would tell them the reasoning by why I'm doing what I'm doing, and what the pros and the cons are, and what my experience is. So I'm going to tell them, I'm going to describe it, right? So I tell them and I do it. I show them physically what it is I want them to do. And then the doing is, now you show me that you understand what I just shared with you. Tell, show, do. So that would be supportive, right? That's not doing their homework for them. That's being supportive. Enabling is taking the water can and going there every day and watering that plant for them while they're over there on their phone scrolling on TikTok, right? You're doing the watering for them. The plant is now yours. The garden is now yours. It's your responsibility, and you're just doing it all. So that, I felt, was when I created that, I was like, oh, that really lands. And I like the metaphor too of, you know, I'm going to teach you how to fish versus give you one fish. Like, you would starve after 2 days, right? I want you to be able to fish for yourself. I want you to be able to feed yourself your entire life. Well, in this story, in the garden, if I water the plant for them, if I do all the things, I weed it, I take care of the plant for them, what their belief is going to be is they're not capable, that they don't have a green thumb, that they can't do it without me. And I will be drained from driving over there and doing all the things for them. And I'll be drained and have resentment for them being on their phone and not helping me haul the water, weed the plant, prune the plant, take care of the plant, because I am demonstrating that they're not capable. I don't trust them. I don't believe in them. So again, I felt like that was a good example. All right, so real talk. Here's an example. Now this is on like a marriage situation or a partnership or some sort of relationship you're in. So let's say you're boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, spouse, partner, whatever you label it as. Let's say they keep overspending. That's why I said it's in a committed relationship, because it would impact you, right? So let's say they keep overspending and they're asking you for help, right? They're overspending and they come to you for help. Being supportive would mean that you would say something like this. Use your own words, but I care about you. I love you. You're amazing. Let's create a budget together. Let's figure out what monies are coming in and what monies are going out, how money works. I'll sit with you. I'll even dial the phone to the credit card company and hand it over to you. And I'll tell you what to say, right? Tell, show, do. So it's supportive, right? It's holding space. You're encouraging them. You're telling them they can do it. You're giving them a budget or working through a budget together. Like, you couldn't do it on your own. Like, you can't do the homework for them. You need them to be a part of it. And you're going to tell them and explain why a budget is so important, right? Maybe they weren't taught that. Like, I wasn't taught that in school. That was something I had to kind of learn the hard way. I think that they really want parents to teach us that. So enabling is saying, I'll just pay the bills for you. Don't worry about it. I got you. Don't stress about it. Let me take care of all your bills. You see the difference? So one of them builds skills. One of them teaches them. One of them gives them self-responsibility. One of them encourages them. One of them tells them that they are capable. The other one builds learned helplessness. One of them doesn't have them moving through and learning. One of them probably is going to have a huge impact on their credit score, which is going to impact them for 10 years, right? I think, as long as that's still the same, don't know. So a question that I would love for you to put in the comments, and feel free to say what comes to your heart, is, again, to that person that you think of that's struggling in your life, that you love, you care about, that's struggling in some way, some capacity. Are you helping them grow by whatever you're doing, thinking, saying, believing, whatever your actions are, whatever you're doing in your life, knowing what I just went through? Are you supportive or are you enabling them? Are you helping them grow, or are you helping them avoid discomfort and pain? And if you're enabling them, and maybe you were to step back, right? Let them feel pain and grow and learn and evolve and develop skills to avoid this again. Would they sink, or would they step up and rise? I would love to hear in the comments what your thoughts are on that. All right, back to the book. Kind of, again, detoured a little bit, but I just felt like that was a great place to really show the polarity of the two, enabling versus supporting. So love your feedback on that too. Was it too much? I don't know. I felt like it was something that I wanted to do myself and thought I would share it with you guys. So, all right, so back to the book. It was stated in the book that adults only change or heal when they're ready. It's so true. And I get it. I get contacted by well-meaning, loving parents and spouses every week. They come to me all the time wanting me to intervene, wanting me to change them, wanting to relieve them of feeling out of control, wanting me to relieve their pain. Both of them, the person calling, the well-meaning, loving parent or spouse or brother or sister, aunt or uncle. Like, I've had all kinds of people, grandparents. come to me to relieve their pain and the person that's suffering and struggling. But here's the reality is these are well-meaning individuals, but it's very rare that I end up coaching that person. Very rare. I have a couple times. I remember once that a parent came to me and wanted me to coach their son. And I had two beautiful conversations with this young individual. The first one was just, conversation, build rapport, see if I'm a good fit, see if they liked me, that they were willing and open to hearing what I had to say. And I felt like they were pretty coachable. The second conversation, we had a coaching session, and they are just so brilliant. They're very, very intelligent. I also got a sense that they were posturing and kind of wanting me to think that they were really intelligent. Like there was some things that were said and done that I'm like, yeah, this kind of faking it, almost like in a sense that they wanted me to believe that they're really intelligent and smart, and they are. But the thing is I can't really help somebody that's faking it. The third call didn't even connect. What they did is they threw the phone, broke it, and the parent called me on their phone and said, we're having problems, we're having challenges. They're mad that I'm making them do this, da 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 da. So it backfires. It creates more destruction than benefit. I know that we have well-meaning people out there that want people to change, but this is in that situation, that was actually a young adult. But I will say for sure that people have got to have the bravery and courage to raise their hand and say, I want help. I'm done. I am fed up. I want to do something different. It's got to be them. They've got to be asking for the help. They are the ones that have to be vulnerable. They are the one that has to fall on the sword and say all the things that they probably haven't told you everything. And I've been told that by so many of my clients, like, Katherine, you know more than my spouse knows. Like my spouse knows bits and pieces and chunks of these things, but they don't know the whole picture. They don't know everything that I'm thinking and feeling. I don't want them to know this. It's scary. I don't want them to look at me as less than. And I had a consultation today with somebody, and that was exactly what they said. Like, I really want my spouse to see me as the strong one in the relationship. I don't want them to see me as weak. So people have got to come to me that see the value and the importance in getting better. And they are the ones that have to do the work. They have to take action. They have to do things. They have to experience life differently. Coaching is not like a magic spell. And sometimes people don't want to change because that seems scary compared to what they're dealing with currently. So forcing anyone to change ultimately is going to backfire. And in the midst of it, destroy the relationship you have with them. It's always going to damage what I call the bank account of goodwill, which is a warm feeling in that relationship towards one another. So how to know what the right level of support is for you to support someone? How do you know what the right level of support is? And when to pull back? Well, it's simple. You'll know because of how you feel inside. When you come from love, it's going to feel light. It's going to feel free. It's going to feel like you're staying in your own lane. If the support you're giving someone, the support feels heavy, it feels burdensome, and you look at the name on the phone and you're like, oh, and you don't want to answer the phone, that's coming from fear. When you're in a conversation with them, it feels icky, it feels burdensome, it feels awful, it feels painful. You're not in support anymore. And when people are suffering, oftentimes I believe the reason why they delay asking for help from someone like me or anyone, therapy, counseling, another coach, I don't care, or a priest or someone, right? Or a confidant or a mentor, whatever. What I believe why people stay in struggling is the shame and the guilt. I've even had clients tell me that in calls when they first meet me, and we do just kind of like consultation or a meet and conversation, is they have shame and guilt. Oftentimes there's a lot of denial on the seriousness of what's going on in their life. Oftentimes there's embarrassment, and it feels like a burden. Oh, this is going to take a lot of time. Oh, this is going to take a lot of work. I'm a piece of work. So that's why people don't quite often reach out until they're ready. Because it does take bravery. It takes courage to ask someone for help, especially someone that kind of feels like a stranger. But let me tell you, people really would rather talk to me and talk about all the things that they are processing in their mind, because I'm non-biased. I'm not even in their same town. I'm not in their same state. I work with people all across the US and Canada, and people love the fact that we're not even in the same time zone. They love that. So you can't want for someone else to change more than they do. It's not in your lane. It's not for you to control. It's not for you to dictate. It's not for you to, it's not your journey. Let them go through their journey. That might be a different title that I would have used for this chapter. Let them go through their journey. Let them be in their lane. Let me be in my lane. Anyways, so it is a judgment to believe that you would act in a different way. It's a judgment to believe that you would do things differently. That's a judgment. And that doesn't feel good on the receiving end of it. Right? You don't know everything that's going on in their life, in their world. And I love it when parents say, I wouldn't do that if I was them. I grew up such and such, and that's not how things should be done. Well, things are very different. If you haven't noticed, the world is very different than it was 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. It's very different. And what their beliefs are, what they feel strongly about, their perception, their experiences, their knowledge, their trials and tribulations, and what thoughts they have, and what they like and what they enjoy, and what they don't like and what they don't enjoy, differs from you. Humans are complex. There's no two human beings that are the same. So for you to dictate and tell them and push them and make them do what you would do, is you're a dictator, and no one wants to be under a dictatorship. That takes away their agency. It takes away their ability to make choices in their life and deal with the consequences. So what you think someone should do is a judgment. It often comes from a place of fear. Fear that it's going to reflect badly on you, fear that they're going to suffer, fear that they're going to struggle more, fear that it's going to cost you money in the long run. Why are you paying for it? Stop bailing them out. Mel talks about having an outlet to pop off and talk and vent and complain and moan and gripe. She didn't use those words. I'm using those words, but that's what coaching is for. Like, I really, really, really do. A typical session is 60 minutes. I'll allow people to wallow around in their misery for the first 15 minutes. And then we move the conversation, right? Because I'm not going to allow them to suck me into the vortex. I'm not going to collude with them. I'm not going to validate them. I'm not going to, their feelings are valid. Let me just put that out there. Everyone's feelings are valid. Everyone's feelings are valid. So I will hear them out. The thing is when someone tells me, oh, I'm so sad, I'm so miserable. Okay. So you're sad and you're miserable. Well, tell me what thoughts and feelings are creating this sad and miserable feeling inside of you. And they'll tell me, oh, I'm thinking this, I'm feeling that, I'm experiencing this. This is upsetting. This is unfair. I'm like, that's wow. I'm surprised you're not feeling worse. Your feelings are valid. I can see how you feel the way you feel. Because what we think and what we believe, we feel. So everyone's feelings are valid. So that person that's struggling and that person that's suffering oftentimes wants to be heard, wants to be known, like wants someone to validate their feelings. I can see how you feel that way. That makes sense that you feel that way. Right? So I gotta just memorize one of those sentences or really speak from the heart is best. But you know what everyone's thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and their life choices are valid because that's at the time what they thought, what they felt, and what they did made sense to them. So when we judge people and what they've done, it puts up a wall, it puts up a distance, it puts a wedge between you and them. It tells them that they are wrong, that they are not capable, they're not strong. It's very destructive. So I validate people, I give empathy. I see how you could feel that way. That makes sense. That's got to be really hard to carry. Would you like to feel differently? And I help them understand why their reality is the way it is and how their reality can shift. But you can't force a human being to go to rehab. You can't force a human being to be financially responsible if they don't have the tools and the skills and the know-how and have never been taught that or learned that. When we force people to do things, that often leads them to more addiction, more hiding, more guilt, more shame, more financial hardship. Mel talks about it a couple times in this chapter that healing is a personal journey, and it is. It's personal and it's different for everyone. It requires them to be courageous. It requires them to be brave enough to have the strength to ask for help, to find a mentor, someone that they trust. And, you know, somebody that's struggling with food, I know Mel talks about this a little bit in this chapter and other ones, you know, when someone's struggling with food, a diet is not going to solve the root cause. She doesn't say that, but that's my opinion. I had a client, I think it was last week, that was talking about, oh, if I lose weight, then I'll be happy. Nope, that's not how that works. Happiness does not come in a pant size. Happiness is not a number on the scale. Trust me, I know that. That's not the root cause. You'll be even more dissatisfied. You'll be more unhappy. Trust me. It's not where happiness comes from. I do love the metaphor that Mel uses at throwing the ball. I see the time. We're at an hour, so I'm going to speed through this. So throwing the ball metaphorically, I love metaphors. I love stories because I think that this lands. So if you're throwing the ball at the person that you're thinking of that you love and is struggling, and you're running over and you're catching it for them, right? Maybe they don't know how to catch a ball. And I know that seems silly, but it's possible. Maybe they keep dropping it. Maybe you even throw it a time or two and it hits them. Maybe they fumble the ball. Maybe they're chasing it and tripping over themselves. Maybe they fall down and skin their knees trying to get it. And maybe they get frustrated. Maybe they get mad. Maybe their temper blows. Maybe I don't know. But what I do know is if they have the ability to regulate their selves, be able to regulate their emotions, regulate their body, become clear, become focused, become intentional, and ask for help, ask for tips, ask for advice, and are willing to learn how to catch the ball and willing to learn how to throw it back, they grow. They will remember that forever. Where if you're throwing the ball and you're running and catching it for them, you're telling them that they're not capable. So how different is it when you feel viscerally in your body that your loved one, you believe, is capable? How different is it? How do you show up? What is your energy when you come to them? And think about it for yourself. I know someone in your life has come to you and you can just feel that they believe in their bones that you are capable, that you are strong, right? It might have been a teacher, a mentor, a coach, maybe in a sport, not a life coach, but someone felt like you were capable, versus someone that comes to you and is like, yeah, you just won't get it. You're not capable. You're not strong. They may not even use those words, but you could just feel the energy. They feel like you're weak, that you're not good enough, that you are a nuisance, right? A bully in high school, maybe, right? There's a huge difference in the energy or the come from. So one of the things that I've learned through coaching many people is, and I've also learned this in my own life, in my own experiences, that a hug, Mel talks about it in this chapter, that a hug oftentimes is all you got to do. You don't even have to say anything. You don't have to memorize anything. You don't have to do anything. In deep listening, I believe deep listening would heal so much if people would learn how to listen. And that is a skill that has to be used every single day. It's a perishable skill. It atrophies. It will go away if you do not know how to listen deeply. I think listening and physical touch are amazing. And I'm not a real huggy person, but I do believe physical touch has immense powers. Allow people to self-regulate, or ask them, do you know how to regulate your own emotions? Has anybody ever shared that with you? And if they're open to it, they may say no. They may be like, I don't want your woohoo crap. It's not woohoo, but I will say that I wish I would have known this many years ago. I wish this book would have been around prior to me having kids. I also do want to add, before I close this out, I do have a lot more notes. I had really fun with this chapter, which is great. I'll keep this for myself, because it was great to reflect on this chapter. I do agree that all people, including me, are hardwired to move towards what's easy. I see that in my own life. And in coaching, I use different words. I use the words, our brain moves us towards what feels good and familiar, period. And so that's why people stay in their misery, because it feels safe, it feels familiar, and in a way it feels good. Like, I know that everyone watching this knows someone that stays in their misery, and you're just like, why do you do that? Like, do you not see there's a way out of this? But it's normalized in their life. It's what they know. It's familiar and it feels good. There's drama, there's excitement, there's adrenaline, there's thrill. I used to believe that at dinner time is the time to bitch, moan, and complain. Like, who had the worst day today? I bet you my day was the worst. And I'd even dramatize stories to try to win that challenge. So avoiding the tough conversations is easier. Avoiding asking for help is easier than doing the hard work. So I get why people stay in misery. I get it. It makes sense. All right, guys. Like I said, I have a lot more notes. I feel like it was a really good chapter. I wish this was around a long time ago for sure. And all the added stuff that I'm adding to these videos. I think probably the last thing I'll end with is, I think avoidance is probably one of the most destructive habits out there. So when we avoid the hard things, I believe it's a slippery slope, one. And true, it leads to more anxiety, more and more and more anxiety that could lead to panic attacks. And what it does is it erodes away a person's ability and belief in themselves that they can cope and navigate life's challenges versus leaning in and moving through it and learning, right? It teaches them to avoid, and it compiles and it compounds and it backs up. And I think even people don't even see it and realize it. Like people that have panic attacks oftentimes don't even realize that, like they're like, I'm not stressed out. I don't have any stress. But they're comparing themselves to people that maybe have a job where they carry a firearm or something, or maybe they're comparing it to someone that drives 150 miles an hour on a daily basis for a job. I don't know, but the reality is stress is subjective to each individual. And I do believe that it's imperative that people learn to face whatever their challenges are, learn to move through it, learn to grow, learn to go through it, lean in, and train their brain to work for them rather than against them, and learn to reassure their brain and their nervous system that they're always safe. I am safe. This is great. I'm amazing. I can do this. I'm strong. I'm capable. I'm willing. And I'm going to get help in learning the skills to regulate my own nervous system and regulate my own emotions. And I'm going to get someone that helps me learn how to think, feel, and behave in a way that's in alignment with what I want more of in my life. That's what I do. I help people create a life that they don't need an alarm for and they don't need a vacation from. So reach out to me if you would like to know more. And I appreciate you watching this all the way to the end. I'll see you next week. Bye.